Okay. Morning, everybody, and welcome. I'll open the meeting at 9:02, and if I could have someone move the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 10th of April 2025. Councillor Surat.
I move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 10th April 2025 be confirmed.
Seconder. Councillor Davis. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Can I just say that I have Councillor Burkett online, and I have an apology from Councillor Flynn. He'll be in about 10 o'clock. So sorry, I missed that.
And everyone's microphones are on.
And everyone's microphones are on. Yes.
Yep.
All right. 8.1, Muckadilla Rifle Range. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I will move that council repeal resolution number OM 08202320 and replace with the council 1 grant a firing rights agreement to the Muckadilla Rifle Club under the Western District Rifle Association Incorporated over part of the reserve land described as Lot 42 on SP 220293, subject to the following conditions. A, the total term, including options to renew, of the firing rights authorities is not to exceed 10 years. B, council and Muckadilla Rifle Club reaching an agreement on the terms and conditions of the firing rights agreement to the satisfaction of council's chief executive officer or delegate. And 2, authorise the chief executive officer or delegate to sign the firing rights authority and any associated documentation.
Have a seconder. Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. (8.2) Surat Raw Water Schedule Winter. Councillor Hancock.
I move that council amend resolution number OM/04.2025/14 to state that 1, council receive and note the report. 2, council adopt the amended Surat raw water schedule as follows. New winter watering schedule for raw water, 1st of April to 30th of August, effective 10th of April. Is it still, just double checking that we might not make it the 24th of April.
Oh, through the chair, it was just the previous resolution had the 10th of April backdated. So
Yep, but we're amending it
We
to
are
this.
amending it.
So therefore, should we be amending that date, CEO Rob? Or have we been, which schedule have we been doing from the 10th? Have we done these times?
we've stuck to the winter schedule from the last 2 weeks to avoid any complaints.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'll continue, Madam Mayor. Number 2, council adopt the amended Surat raw water schedule as follows. New winter watering schedule for raw water, 1st of April to 30th of August, effective 10th of April 2025. East Surat may water on Wednesday, Friday and Sunday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. West Surat may water on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. 3, council officers provide an update on the Surat water allocation at the ordinary meeting on the 14th of May 2025.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just to say, Madam Mayor, that all we're doing here is amending the time in the afternoon to make it a bit more daylight when people are watering and not out at 8 o'clock at night.
All right, with that, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0.
Thanks, Council.
Thanks, Director. 11.1, 24-25 Quarter 3 Progress Report Operational Plan to the 31st of March 2025. Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the 24-25 Quarter 3 report. 2, endorse the Quarter 3 report as presented in accordance with Section 104(7) of the Local Government Act 2009.
Have a seconder. Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, just to say that thank you for all the feedback and the report style. Greatly appreciated and happy to move.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak. Thanks, Mayor. Echoing the sentiments made by the mover, I think the format of the reporting is much better. it's a good indication to council as to where things are at in terms of the op plan. If we can look at a way to expand on the number of characters that can be used, so more detail can be provided to council, I think that would be of benefit. And probably just in terms of the commentary section, just have it each of those line items numbered, so it's very clear that that reflects to the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. But I think this is a long way in the right direction for reporting, and there's still some things that need to change. But yeah, all credit to the staff. And I think next year, when we have had this term of council, has had much more of an opportunity to influence the op plan as a collective. The speed in which we had to do it last year has meant that we're dealing with what we're dealing with. But that document is ours to own as a council for the staff to deliver, and we've got to be happy with it. So I look forward to getting one that has all input in.
I too say thank you to the staff, to the director and Grace. Yeah, amazing job. I think we, as councillors said, we've come a long way, and we've got a little bit more to go, but it's a work in progress, and yeah, we're just looking forward to owning it and getting it right. So thank you very, very much. All right, with that we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0.
Sent it this morning.
11.2, monthly financial report as of the 31st of March 2025. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that council receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ended 31st of March 2025.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, councillor?
Yes, thank you. It's quite confusing if you read some of this information, but it's getting more easy to understand where our position is. If you look, our year-to-date actual is a surplus of 1.34 million against a budgeted result that was going to be 14.29. The continued impact of flood events is causing this. There's lots of fluctuations because the expenditure has been expensed but not budgeted yet. So, but bottom line is we're still unfortunately forecasting a deficit at the end of June of $5.5 million.
Yeah, from 7.5.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. Similar comments to which I made in the previous report. I think the actual officer's report is much better. Thank you, Brad. There is more detail in the report, and it spells out what is happening in the financial reports that are attached. So I appreciate that. And for the community that are very interested in council's financial position, they too will get a very quick snapshot of where we're currently sitting, recognising that we were looking at a $7 million deficit, and it's been reduced to $5 million. Still not great ever bringing down deficit budgets, and our goal is to get council back into a position where we are operating with a surplus. And we will get there in this term of council. But thank you for your contribution in getting more detail into these reports. And I know, Councillor Brumpton, in your role as portfolio chair, you're having a massive influence on this part of council, and that's welcomed as well.
Anyone else like to speak? I too would just like to say thank you to the Councillor Brumpton for all the hard work that she does, and I know that her and Brent are working really hard to get our bottom line looking as good. And as you said, the commentary in it is great. I also like to just shout out to the rates department for our outstanding rates balance, which is a bit of a bare bug with me. So from 11 million to 2 million from March to March, I think that's just amazing. So hats off to the rates department as well. Councillor, would you like to sum up?
Yes, just thank you again. Thank you for the thank yous, but I would like to thank the staff, because with very little direction, the current staff are understanding where we're wanting to go, and I really appreciate that. And I commend the community that are interested to read the report in full, because it does give a much better picture than what we were receiving earlier in the term. So it's really encouraging to have that amount of detail, and we're continuing to refine, but we're nearly getting there where it's making sense the whole way through, and really appreciate the work that the staff are doing under Brett's direction. Thank you.
Very good. All right, with that, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. 11.3, Audit Committee Meeting Report 24 March 2025. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council receive and note the update from the Audit Committee meeting held on the 24th of March 2025.
Have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. You will note that this is the first time we've received a report in this format. Previously, we've been receiving just the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee. Under the actual regulation, it talks about a report, so we've been working towards having a report, and this is our first one, which I think does show a lot more detail, so for the whole council and the community to understand some of the deliberations that occur in the Audit and Risk Committee meeting and why those things happen. So there's a lot of detail in there. Again, thanks Brett and staff. I think it is a sign of further maturity and development of our Audit and Risk Committee and our council as a whole. And there's a couple of things in there to note from my perspective is we had a very immature risk management approach in council, and we're developing a robust plan for that, and it will be a journey that doesn't happen overnight or even in 6 months. It happens over a couple of years, and it's good to see that happening. And the other thing of note for me was from when I started is the outstanding audit actions. There was years worth of outstanding audit actions that hadn't been collated and weren't being progressed. So there's been some work done on that, and it's great to see, so we understand where audit's at, what hasn't been done, what needs to be fixed. So thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I'd just like to commend the staff and Portfolio Chair, Councillor Brumpton, and yourself, Mayor, who sits on the Audit Committee. This report is the best audit report that I've seen since sitting at the table. And I think it shows the level that this of commitment and focus that this term of council has on our audit and risk. It is important. It is important that we get it right, and we have put a spotlight on it. And I just want to say thank you so much for the information that's that is put into this report. Because previously, as a councillor sitting here, I actually didn't know what the risks were. And so, whereas we all have responsibility sitting around this table to our audit and risk. So thank you very much that we're now getting the information that we need to be able to make the decisions at this table.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Davis.
Yes, I'd also like to say thank you. I, like Councillor Hancock, and really impressed with the information provided in here. As someone who has not sat on an audit or risk committee, I feel well equipped to do my job. I also think that the expansion of the audit committee and the rise in the compensation, financial compensation for their time that we pay them, has resulted in really good work to date, and moving forward it can only get better. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. A lot of what I was going to say has already been shared. This is by far one of the best officers' report that I have seen in relation to the Audit Committee in my time in Council. And I'm not talking about recent terms, that's all terms. I think this has been a step in the right direction. The decision that we made to increase the membership of the Audit Committee has clearly been the right decision. The professionals and the skill sets now around that table, which includes the independent directors as well as the councillors, has really seen an increase in the governance standards of the Audit Committee. I really welcomed the Chair of the Audit Committee joining us in recent weeks, where he presented his view in relation to the Audit Committee, and I welcome that, and us embedding that into our annual calendar, I think, is really important and is consistent with a lot of other audit committees for other boards, etc. I note in here, and I see it's going to come at a future council meeting, the expansion of the terms of reference to include risk, not just audit. I think that is a step in the right direction, and really does illustrate the focus that this term of council has on having the right framework around the risks that we operate under as a local government, and having that embedded in how we work, but with the eyes of an audit and risk committee, I think will be really important. We'll get a lot of value out of that. I agree with Councillor Davis. I think by taking the mature step and increasing the remuneration to be competitive across other audit and risk committees, not just in local government, but more broadly, has meant that we've got some really good people sitting around the table now, and we're going to get our pound of flesh out of those people, and we're seeing that already. And so all credit to everyone that's involved in bringing this today. I think it's a really good step.
Thank you. Would you like to, anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor?
I think Councillor O'Neill virtually did the sum up for me, thank you.
I actually would like to speak, but I've got nothing left to say because it's all been said. So thank you. It was a pleasure to read, and it's, from my perspective, I mean, I don't have any of the skills that Meryl has, but being in the room and trying to guide that committee as best we can they're just an amazing group. So, and the chair coming to speak to the full council and giving a debrief really was also a step in the right direction for our council. So everybody, thank you. All right, let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. 14.1, development application, material change of use, tourist park, extension of existing use, 2 to 8 McDowell Street, 8 to 18 Major Street, Roma, reference 2024/21328. I have a conflict. In 14.1, development application, material change of use, tourist park, extension of existing use, 2 to 8 McDowell Street, 8 to 18 Major Street, Roma, reference 2024/21328. The declaring councillor is Councillor Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is myself. The particulars of the interest: I'm the treasurer of the Roma Clay Target Club, and they operate a caravan park at the facility. It is a prescribed conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. If I could ask Deputy Mayor to take my chair.
The Mayor's left the room, so we're on item 14.1 as detailed by the Mayor. Development application, material change of use, tourist park, extension of existing use, 2 to 8 McDowell Street, 8 to 18 Major Street, Roma, reference 2024/21328. Is there any questions or a mover? There is a mover. Councillor Hancock.
I move that the development application for a material change of use, tourist park located at 2 to 8 McDowell Street, 8 to 18 Major Street, Roma, described as Lot 1 and 2 on RP 74811 and Lots 32 and 33 on SP 180966, be approved subject to the following listed conditions and general advice.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Vincent. Does the mover wish to speak?
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge that this is a great news for council to hear. We know that we have restricted access to accommodation at the moment. We're very full, which is great for our tourism, it's great for our motels, but it's great to see some economic development and expansions happening in our accommodation sector. So, thank you to the operators that are taking this business decision to expand their business. And I think we'll, feel that across the accommodation sector.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is there a speaker against? Another speaker for? Councillor Vincent?
Yeah,
I'd like to support this change today to see more accommodation available and also upgrades like the removing and replacing, which is also great to see that the standard will also be lifting across our accommodation availability. So more than happy to support this application today.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Any further speakers? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Thank you.
No further speakers. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour?
Yes.
That's carried 7-0. Thanks, Cam.
Are we up to the late?
We'll have to delay this one on the table till later in the meeting.
Yeah, we will,
We'll later, that's your fees and charges one, you're going to table later to finish going through the
Oh,
last
we're
of
going to
them.
lay that one on the table? Yep, okay. L1, 2025-26 council fees and charges. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that this lays on the table until the last item on council's agenda.
All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. L2, subject
Oh, no,
to
that's
advocacy for safety improvements, Jackson Wandoan Road. Councillor O'Neill?
Yeah, thanks, Beck. Councillor Burkett, have you got this? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. Yep.
Yeah, it's just it was a late one that I've just tabled. We're calling that L2, are we, Kel? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move. I'll move that Council 1 advocate to the Department of Transport and Main Roads, TMR, for the widening and sealing of shoulders along the Jackson-Wandoan Road, particularly between Noongar and the Warrego Highway, in recognition of the route's growing strategic importance to regional industries and communities, and 2, provide a written response to the resident advising of Council's operational and advocacy actions in response to their letter and concerns raised.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor. In essence, this is a motion with notice. In the last few days, I've received correspondence from a concerned resident in this particular part of the Shire who has raised real concerns about the safety of this particular road in our Shire. It is a state-owned road, and therefore it is upon us to provide the advocacy that is required to the state government to highlight these concerns. The concerns are raised because it's a highly used road now with the resource sector activities that are happening. And if we can get this in front of the Minister as quickly as we can as they lead into their budget deliberations for this year, I think that would be a good outcome in terms of our role in advocating for our residents.
Anyone else like to speak?
Just a question, is that okay? Just Councillor O'Neill, just noting that it is saying increased volume of heavy haulage vehicles from the CSG operations, just thinking about our advocacy, how do we, being a state road, can we advocate to that would be impacting them and their vehicles as well? So I'm just wondering whether it'd be worthwhile reaching out to that industry to see whether they too advocate to the Department of Main Roads to widen that.
They might fine, they might have to commit some money.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly.
So I think
That's our intent, maybe.
I think in the first instance, we need to be going directly to the owner of the road to advocate, to put our case forward, where they ultimately look to be able to finance this. I think is on the state.
owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is just a question, perhaps. Do we, like, I know it's not our road, but do we have an interest of putting like a road counter just to gauge the traffic, or the main roads might already have a road counter on that to gauge that traffic use as well? Or?
Yeah, so through the Mayor, as Councillor O'Neill mentioned, it is a state-controlled road. I'm almost certain the Department of Transport does have traffic counters on there, but it's a good point you raise. It'd be something at an operational level we can just say it's just another piece of information that would be useful in this process. So they generally don't like council putting counters on TMR roads just because of the nails and all that could cause issues. So, but
And vice versa.
So they've got a suite of counters. But it's a good point you raised. It's just another piece of data that could be collected to make the case.
You see how recent it is there too. I know Solf and Cameron have met with Stephen Dart in March again about this one. The Mayor and I sort of had the meeting with the DG of Main Roads at the LGAQ conference last year, and we presented her with the three key projects we wanted, and one of them was that Wando and Jackson Road there too. So, taking the council's point, we need to ramp up that and follow up on that too, just on that advocacy. But we've also raised it at a local level there too. So, I'd be surprised if Stephen hasn't actually got some current data. But if he's not, we can request that they do that.
The timing, if I can, Mayor, is important here because the state government obviously changed post the LJQ conference last year, and so raising this directly with Minister Mickelberg I think will be really important.
So state government don't have road agreements then?
Mayor, they definitely have road agreements. So I think it's the right move just to leave it as it is drafted at the moment, just because we don't have visibility of the contractual arrangements they've got directly. So they might have more leverage than we think, or might not. So I think this is a sound resolution to at least start with the owner, and then we're in constant contact, obviously, with the CSG through our own road agreements. And we touch on state roads, but it's also a little bit, as we're not the owners, they'll have mechanisms in place to start these discussions around potential compensation or that. So.
Mayor, I just want to update the resolution if I can, please.
Yeah.
Cal, it to read the council advocated the Department of Transport and Main Roads, specifically correspondence to Minister Brent Mickelberg. And to local member Anne Lay for the widening and sealing of shoulders as it continues. Thank you.
Just Kel, I think you've got
It's
the
Brett.
minister's name not quite right.
It'll be Minister Brent Mickelberg. His grandfather might have been Frank.
Mayor, I've just got something else.
Yes,
Just thinking.
Councillor.
I just wondered to Councillor O'Neill, I understand the advocacy about the bigger project, about widening and sealing the shoulders, but I wonder if we should be also bringing to their attention the safety issue of the limited visibility at the T. Channing Creek Bridge crossing. I wonder if we should be adding that in. Yeah, sorry, Deputy Director.
I can sort of speak to that. We obviously seen the correspondence that came in, very operational request, that one, that if that's not already cleared, there's plans to have that cleared. So I was talking to the acting director down there, and they've got plans in place. When I spotted the photos, it's a genuine safety visibility risk. So there's already wheels in motion to deal with that, because it's a half a day job to just clear that timber on that inside curve. So
And we have done that before when the Mayor and I brought it in.
I just think it'll, by the time it flows through the system, it'll actually be already done.
It'll
It's
be done,
operational.
yeah.
So
Perfect. Thank you.
You just got to check the second is happy with that.
Who was the second? Councillor Vincent, you happy? Yep, she's happy.
Good.
All right. Did you speak?
I have spoken.
Would anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up?
No.
Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. we do conflicts before we go into closed?
Yeah.
Yep.
Councillor, who you got first for conflicts? Councillor Vincent.
Yes, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item C.6, application for community grants round 2, 2024-25. The declaring councillor is myself, Jane Vincent. The person with the interest is my mother, Janice Humphreys. Janice is the secretary of CHIPS. CHIPS have submitted an application in this grant round. A conflict of interest was declared during the deliberation of applications, and I did not participate in discussions or recommendations of the CHIPS application. It is a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor Surat.
I wish to declare a conflict of interest on item C6, applications for community grants round 2. The declaring councillor is myself, Brendan Seawright. Excuse me. The persons of interest is myself. I am the president of the Wallumbilla Town Improvement Group and the Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association, who both have submitted applications in this round of community grants. It is a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, I have a conflict on C6, application for community grants round 2, 2024-2025. Declaring council is myself. Person of interest is my father, Gary Burkett, and myself. Particulars of interest, Gary is the executive member of the Bringa Heritage Museum, and they are listed in the report. I'm the president of the Mitchell RSL and Combined Sports Club and the Mitchell Camp Draft Association, who fall under that umbrella of the Combined Sports Club, are listed in the report. It's a prescribed, conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Would someone like to move us into closed? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move in accordance with the provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 that council resolve to close the meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider as necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. C1, sundry debtors, doubtful debts, write-off request. C2, 2024-25 Capital Work Program Roma Bore 21 Infrastructure Project Scope Amendment. C3, 2024-25 Capital Works Program Amendment, Sewerage Pump Station 1 Roma. C4, 2024-25 Capital Works Program Amendment, Sewerage SPS Roma Safety Upgrades. C5, 2024-25 Capital Works Program Amendment, Water Main Upgrade Wallumbilla. C6, application for community grants round 2, 2024-2025. C7, Yuleba Community Projects Water Play. C8, Wallumbilla Community Hub operational considerations. C9, advertising at Roma Airport and Roma Sale Yards. LC1, Chief Executive Officer Performance Agreement.
I have a seconder. Councillor Brompton. Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Thank you. And would someone move that we go into open? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move we go into open.
Okay. All those in favour? Do I need a second? Seconder, Councillor Hancock. All those in favour? 7-0. Councillor O'Neill.
Mayor, I'd like to move a leave of absence, if I can, please. I'll move that apologies be received and a leave of absence granted for Councillor Flynn for this meeting.
Seconder, Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? 7-0. I'd now like to adjourn the meeting. We're good. Okay, so reconvene the meeting at 3:18. And just to let you know, we adjourned to finalise the items from our yesterday workshop prior to coming back to our ordinary meeting. Okay, so we were in open, weren't we?
We are in open.
Right, so we can go on to C1.
Yep.
C1, sundry debtors, doubtful debts, write-off request. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that council approve the write-off of sundry debtor account debts as presented owing to the current status of being uneconomical to pursue further.
Oh, that was quick. Have a second, Councillor Brompton. Do you like to speak, Councillor?
No, I
No.
don't.
Anyone like to speak? No. Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C2, 24-25 Capital Works Program, Roma Bore 21 Infrastructure Project Scope Amendment. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 endorse an amended scope for Bore 21 Infrastructure Works Project Work Order 23608 to be delivered under the 2024-25 Capital Works budget with the revised scope to include A, installation of approximately 1.4 kilometres of dedicated water main to the existing 1.5 millilitre reservoir on Muscamble Street, Roma. B, upgrade of the existing pressure pump system. C, provision of backup power. And D, installation of compound fencing. 2, note that while delivery will commence in 24-25, the project will extend into the first half of the 2025-26 financial year for completion. 3, approve a revised project budget of $800,000, reduced from $1.104 million to reflect the amended scope as outlined above.
Have a seconder. Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, I'd just like to commend officers for looking at some of our projects, and we're going to see a couple more coming through, and finding out ways that these can be done for a lesser cost and to have a better impact for the community. So this was one example of some diligence by the officers to enable us to complete some works at a reduced cost but actually impact on a larger area of the community.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Just noting that Councillor Burkett is not online. Sorry. C3, 24-25 Capital Works Program Amendments, Sewerage Pump Station 1, Roma. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'd like to move that council approve the removal of the upgrade pumps at SPS 1 Roma, work order 23625, from the 24-25 Capital Works Program and transfer budget of $200,000 to 2 new projects. 1, Sewerage Pump Station 1, purchase spare pump, replace pump manifold, clean wet well and complete condition assessment. 2, safety rail upgrades on the 3 Imhoff tanks. And 3...
3 Roma on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Roma. 3, any balance remaining be returned to the sewage reserves for allocation to future projects.
Seconder. Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, I think Councillor Brompton summed it up in her last one. This is just the officers going back and seeing, the projects and how we can complete them, and ensuring that staff safety whilst they're around those tanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C4, 24-25 Capital Works Program Amendment, Sewerage, SPS Roma Safety Upgrades. So I have a mover, Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 approve the removal of the following projects from the 2024-25 Capital Works Program. A, Work Order 24471, reinstate standby pumps SPS 3 Bungle Street. B, Work Order 24472, reinstate standby pumps SPS 4 Borland Street. C, Work Order number 24473, reinstate standby pumps SPS 5 Muscamble Street. D, Work Order 24474, investigation and capabilities of sewerage submersible pumps fitted into SPS 1 Roma. 2, return the budget of $151,500 to sewerage reserves for allocation to future projects.
I have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, this is just our acting manager has gone away and looked at the projects in his area and has come up with ways of being able to have a standby pump for all these pumps already, and so therefore we are confident that that is covered and there's no risk to that, and so therefore he's brought forward that we don't need this project anymore and to put the money back into into our reserves for further upgrades. So I commend him on having a look at his projects and be able to save that money for our ratepayers.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C5, 24-25 Capital Works Program Amendment, Water Main Upgrade, Wallumbilla. Councillor Surat.
Excuse me, I move that Council 1 defer water main renewal Timbury Street, Roma, Cattell Street to Duke Street augmentation project WO 24488 and consider the 2025-26 budget deliberations. Transfer additional budget of $197,132 to the water main renewal to the water main renewal 150 millimetre George Street and Warrego Highway Crossing Wallumbilla project WO 23617 from the following projects: A, WO 23618 Curry Street North, Roma augmentation $56,732 remaining budget from the completed works. B, work order WO 24488 water main renewal of Timbury Street, Roma from the Cattell Street to Duke Street augmentation $140,000. $140,400.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seconder. Councillor Hancock, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Just to highlight the fact that the scope of the project for Wallumbilla changed. The original plans were changed due to just trying to cross the water main upgrade under the highway. It was originally scoped for an open cut, and we had to change and drill so that just basically increased the costs. The project had to be completed, so we've had to reallocate funding just to ensure that this project was completed on time to get this, help get this building open, the new building at Wallumbilla opened on time as well.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C6. Application for community grants round 2, 2024-2025. Two conflicts. Councillor Vincent and Councillor Seawright are leaving the room.
You got words for the extras?
Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report, 2 endorse the recommendations of the assessment panel and approve the following community grant applications for payment. Senex Small Grants, in June District Tourism Association, in June, $2,605. Baringa Heritage Museum Inc., Baringa Heritage Museum Restoration Project, $3,000. Roma Rednecks Mud Racing on-site storage for $3,000. Noongar Community Association, Noongar's 2-day tennis tournament, $2,000. Mitchell and District Garden Group, 2025 Garden Days, $1,540, being a total of, for the Senex small grants, $12,145. And the community and major grants, in June Chips for Shearers and Shed Workers Reunion, $7,803.54. U3A Roma Inc. Air Conditioning, $4,423.97. Roma Swimming Club Building Champions, $4,980. Mitchell Camp Draft Association Feeding Livestock, $5,500. Surat Clay Target Association Accessible Shooting Lanes, $10,000. Roma Community Garden Restoration, $5,000. Surat Bowls Club New Ride on Mower for $6,000. And include Wallumbilla Town Improvement Group Billa Bite Night, $4,600. And Dunkeld Pony Club 3-day event for $4,600. Our major grant, Roma Open Windows Committee, Roma Open Windows for $18,580.52.
Have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, we were oversubscribed in our grants. But we're really happy to support the projects that have gone up. All the projects that were put forward, they're all community projects. They're all worthy projects. It's really hard to make a decision, but we feel that the committee's recommendation for these projects are a good choice for this round of council. And just bearing in mind that, this is just a seed funding. Once people actually have these projects, it multiplies, the multiplier effect adds on to the benefits of our community. So looking forward to seeing these projects come to life and wishing the successful applicants all the best.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yes.
No.
Anyone else like to? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Similar to Councillor Hancock, I think there are some really worthy projects that have been submitted in this round. It's always challenging when grant rounds are oversubscribed. I actually think that's a good thing because it illustrates that the community has a need for the investment of ratepayers' money into this type of program. I acknowledge Senex, of course, who partnered with Council in relation to the smaller grants. Thank you to the councillors who were part of the assessment panel for this round and the detail that they put into the assessment. It's been really helpful in making the decision and I can't wait to see all these projects come to fruition. And I know there's going to be some excited community groups out there when they get the phone call from Georgie and the team letting them know that there's an investment coming their way.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? No, we'll go to the vote.
Can I sum up?
Oh, would you like to sum up? Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, I was remiss of me, to not acknowledge Sanex and their contribution. And also, I just want to encourage the grants that were unsuccessful to reach out to the LDOs and get some feedback and to reapply for the next round of funding. We really do want to encourage our community groups to apply for our grants for being able to fund their events and upgrades to their equipment and infrastructure. So just want to encourage people to apply for the funding.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 5-0. Yes, thanks. C7, Yuleba Community Project Water Play. Do I have a mover? Councillor Surat.
I move that Council 1 endorse the final design of the Yuleba Water Play based on option 1 with the following modifications. Removal of internal rocks within the original rock outline, removal of pebble treatment and inclusion of a painted blue concrete surface and representation of local lagoon fauna as illustrated in option 2. Relocation of the pump room to the rear of the project. Approve the reallocation of surplus funds of $300,000 from the Wallumbilla Multipurpose Building Construction Project to the Yuleba Community Project's Main Street. Provide an update to the community on the project via pre-construction/commencement media release.
Have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Honestly, I'd like to thank our 2 project officers for the amount of constructive criticism we've fed them and the community engagement they originally held. I'm pretty sure this project it's in its 3rd term of council now, perhaps. It's so it's really exciting to see this project really nearing the start date of actually happening. I've really got to thank the effort that our 2 project officers have really invested in this in the last nearly the last 6 months, but the 12 months we've been in council now. So thank you for that.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Davis.
I just had a question for the Deputy Director. Just with the 300,000, the report references are a bit more than that. An estimated, additional cost is 320, and then there's a leftover of 325. Is 300 the right number to put in that number 2?
Through the chair there, 300,000 is fine. We're just probably a little bit more at the Wallumbilla facility there that we'll require. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to say what a wonderful project this is for the Yuleba community, but not only the Yuleba community. This council is looking at projects that all the Maranoa can enjoy within each town. And so this is a great project for not only Yuleba but the Maranoa. And I too want to just acknowledge our officer Lucy Gunning and our Deputy Director Cam for their work that they have put into this project. It's the level of detail that we're seeing and the thoughtfulness from a community's perspective that I'm really impressed with. I also want to acknowledge, the learnings that Councillor O'Neill brought to the table with previous projects. I just think that this is a great project where we've been able to work all together to get the best outcome from our community, and I just want to acknowledge that workmanship within this room.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm pleased we've got to this point. Whilst I think that's right, we are in our third term of this project. It was towards the end of that first term, all of last term, and luckily we're only at the beginning of this term. So whilst that sounds awful that it's taken 3 terms, it's not 9 years to get to this. But, this project, let's not forget, comes out of the Workers' Transition Agreement between Maranoa Regional Council and APLNG. It is to address and increase the livability of our communities, and the Yuleba community were very clear in what they wanted to see for their little part of the Maranoa, and that was the genesis for this project way back when. It's obviously evolved since then. There's been a lot of input from the previous term, and very evidently, as Councillor Hancock pointed out, there's been really good collaborative approach from this term of council to get it right. And then there are learnings from other investments in water play parks that we've had, in the history of Maranoa Regional Council that we've taken into account when we've been looking at this. I can't wait to see it open. I think this is going to be a hotly used bit of infrastructure in our region, and not just for the immediate community of Yuleba. I'm sure Wallumbilla will be heading down the highway, and you'll see a few Roma people as well. But this type of investment is great to see. It couldn't happen without, again, that power of work that went into the Workers' Transition Agreement, and I think those councillors and staff that were involved in that will look fondly upon this investment, who aren't here now, to see the hard work that they put in is actually coming to fruition. So this is great. Can't wait to see it kicked off and built in time for summer of this year.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor?
Just quickly, just to thank and echo the sentiments from Councillor Hancock and Councillor O'Neill. It's it will be great to see it completed by the end of the year, and hopefully it redirects some people wanting to enjoy some water while our main pool's closed. So thank you for that, Councillor Hancock and Councillor O'Neill. Looking forward to this opening.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C8. Wallumbilla Community Hub operational considerations. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that council endorses the delivery of enhanced council services from the new Wallumbilla Community Hub, including integrated library, visitor information centre, a VIC, and customer service. To endorse council staff weekday operating hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the integrated library, visitor information centre, VIC, and customer service. 3, progress the development of a memorandum of understanding MOU with the Calico Cottage Committee, outlining the responsibilities for both parties to contribute to the operations of the Wallumbilla Visitor Information Centre. And 4, cease the Calico Cottage officer role post-transition of council services into the new facility, with support elements to Calico Cottage Committee to be included within the MOU.
Have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thanks very much, Mayor. This has again been a major investment in our region. The building itself originated from that Workers' Transition Agreement between Maranoa Regional Council and Origin APLNG to address what desire the Wallumbilla community had to increase the livability of their little part of the region. This is a step in the right direction as to what level of service council wants to provide out of this particular new building. To see us include the library, which was always on the cards, the Calico Cottage Committee, and the operations that they undertake, but to include it as a visitor information centre all as one, I think is really important. The added part of this, which has been hotly discussed here over the last little while, is the introduction of the customer service element. If we're opening this type of new building into our region that's housing council staff and incorporating important aspects that we deliver for our community in terms of library services and the tourism aspect, I think incorporating customer service to allow the immediate community of Wallumbilla and surrounds an opportunity to walk into that new building and to be able to lodge a customer request into council or simply pay their rates, I think is a positive step and is a value add to what we would were originally thinking this facility would be built for. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And whilst there's still an opportunity to work with the Calico Cottage with the negotiations around the MOU, this is the next step post the meeting that the Mayor and Councillor Surat and I had with them just last week. So welcome the report. I think this is good, and I think this will be ultimately a good outcome for the Wallumbilla community.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. 9, advertising at the Roma Airport and the Roma Sale Yards. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 formally decline the offer presented by Paradise Outdoor Advertising to provide advertising solutions at Roma Airport and Roma Sale Yards. 2, be provided a report on alternative solutions to produce advertising revenue at the airport and sale yards at a future meeting. 3, be provided a report on broader solutions to advertising opportunities across the region.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. This resolution obviously brings to a close, if it's supported, the proposals that we had considered from a third party in relation to advertising. I think we're in a unique spot in terms of two major business assets for our region being the Roma Sale Yards and the airport to look at ways that we could do this in-house. But equally, that third point that's there, like other regional councils are doing, like neighbouring councils are doing, there is a revenue stream that would benefit our rate base in terms of broader advertising opportunities that I think council should consider. And I welcome the move of putting this resolution forward, because I think we'll ultimately get some real tangible opportunities where we can generate revenue, but provide advertising opportunities for local businesses, outside businesses, council activities, and I welcome the opportunity to look at those reports and options and costings when they come back.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. 7-0. LC1, Chief Executive Officer Performance Agreement. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move we defer this agenda item to the next ordinary meeting.
All those in favour?
Need a seconder.
I need a seconder.
Yeah.
Councillor Hancock. All those in favour? 7-0. We have a late. Have we got the information for the late?
Yes, we have.
It's just been emailed, Madam Mayor.
I'm happy to move.
You happy to move? Oh, I have to. L1, 24-25, council fees and charges. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that Council 1 adopt the fees and commercial charges with a commencement date of 1st of July 2025. 2, resolve that in relation to these cost recovery fees to which Section 97 of the Local Government Act 2009 applies. 1, the applicant is the person liable to pay these fees, and 2, the fee must be paid at or before the time the application is lodged. 3, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to amend fees and charges to which Section 262(3)(c) of the Local Government Act 2009 applies.
Seconder, Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Can I ask a question quickly?
Yep.
Does it, sorry, another question. Do we need to put that those people are notified, that we know need to be notified early, like the agents, and do we need that in there as a direction for the
I would-
staff role?
Through the Mayor, I wouldn't think there'd be a need necessarily. There are lots of different, I guess there are lots of different people that we need to notify in this. Rather than having a defined list that you might put in there, you should, well, I guess you would expect certainly that there's lots of notification. Whether it's appears in the agenda, I think it's probably a bit of overkill, but I guess at the end of the day, it's up to you.
As long as it's right for whoever needs to know for the staff.
We'll certainly hear about it if you don't.
Well, the timing,
Yeah.
if I can, the timing of the decision
Yeah.
today will.
I was going to speak
That
to
was
that
why we-
when I
yeah.
speak to the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And those departments are the ones that are pushing so that they get plenty of time, so, yep. But did you speak? You
I
were.
haven't spoken yet.
Are you seconding it, Councillor Vincent?
Yes, I am, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you to the officers for the work that's been done. We had a little bit more time in advance this year to last year when we first started, and we did acknowledge that last year we were late with some of these fees and charges, which did affect those organisations that had to on-cost the fees. So we have worked to get this out earlier this year so it doesn't affect those negatively like happened last year. In general, they've been adjusted in line with the CPI, a large proportion of them. But other variations have occurred based on rounding or benchmarking, or are based on the cost to provide the service. I'd like to thank the officers. A lot of work was done on benchmarking and on working out what the cost to provide the services were this year, and in simplifying some of the places where there were double ups or there was lack of clarity around what the actual fee and charge was for. So, we're getting these through now. Hopefully it won't have that negative effect. In general, the majority are CPI and just rounding things, but there are some that there was a change, or the change that the way that we have worked out the fee. And also there's been a major component because of the waste levy, and maybe one of the other councillors might want to speak to that, but we do have to pass on this year some of the cost to council of the waste levy to the users of the waste facilities.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Vincent.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the staff, the work that they did put in. It was a big ask this year that we did benchmark our costs to ensure that we didn't have cost creep on some of our charges, and also to ensure that we were covering costs that we are being asked to pay for. That does include the waste levy. We have had a lot of information around the waste levy and the setting up and covering of those costs. So some of those costs have already occurred previously, but they need to be rolled into, go into our new systems. And so it may look like they've gone up, but they're really just two fees in one. Just thank you to the staff. It was a big ask this year to do such a comprehensive overview of all the fees and charges.
Yeah. Thank you, Brett. Anybody else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Is that it?
Last item.
Yep.
That's it? Okay. We'll close the meeting at 3:47.